All right, now the Kenya Defense Forces spokesman, Colonel Paul Njuguna, says the military is cooperating with investigators to allow the process to get to conclusion. Now, one person who has been in and out of Nanyuki this week following this story is Mashirima Kapombe. She now joins us live from Nanyuki. Mashirima, beyond the fact that this was a tip-off from a cab driver in the area, what led to the discovery today?
Well, Victoria, it is actually evening here, but not as chilling as what was unearthed today at the Gidu area of Nanyuki town. But during the day when we got here at about 12 p.m. at the Nanyuki police station, there was a lot of activity, a lot of discussions that were going on between the police, the detectives from the DCI and the military police. And a few moments after we got here, they drove off to a nearby hotel where they stayed for about an hour. When they then left and drove to the Laikipia airbase and stayed there for about 2 to 3 hours. We waited for them on the side of the road, and when they drove past us, we followed them where they led us to the Ngidu area where one of the informers was able to show them where the bodies were buried. And around 6 p.m. They dug up the area, which was really a shallow grave, and found the bodies stuck atop each other. Victoria.
Now, Mashirima, of course, what we know so far is that the mother, Joyce, was strangled. The children had deep cuts. Any more information on how they died?
What we do know so far is that the forensic detectives believe that the main suspect, Major Peter Mugure, may have dragged the children and then perhaps used sharp objects because the bodies were in that state, that they had deep cuts on their bodies, on their heads, and the mother's body showed signs of strangulation. So that's what we know so far, but tomorrow there will be more investigations that will be going on. And hopefully the family of Joyce Syombua will be here to identify the bodies of the three.
And are the police looking for any other suspects, any other accomplices they may believe could have been involved?
So far, we only know of the informer, who is a taxi driver, who allegedly gave them information yesterday after watching the story on television. He says once he watched the story, he remembered that at some point, allegedly, Major Peter Mugure called him and asked for 3 gunny bags. And today, when the bodies were unearthed, they were wrapped in the 3 gunny bags. So far, that's the only informer we know of. And the main suspect, that's Major Peter Mugure. Victoria.
All right, Mashirima, thank you so much for that update. Certainly a story we'll be taking a look at in the days to come to get more answers. Now, a day before Joyce Syombua and her 2 children, Shanice and Prince Michael, traveled to Nanyuki, Joyce's mother, Elizabeth Maua, had doubts on the safety of the 3. Now, speaking to Citizen TV, Elizabeth also revealed that there had been attempts earlier this year to poison 10-year-old Shanice and 5-year-old Prince Michael. A week before, DNA tests were conducted on the 2 to help determine whether Major Peter Mugure, a prime suspect in the murder of the 3, was their biological father.
When Joyce announced to her mother, Elizabeth Maua, on Thursday, 24th October, that she was planning to visit Major Peter Mugure in Nanyuki, along with her 2 children, 10-year-old Shanice Maua and 5-year-old Prince Michael, questions on whether her daughter and her 2 grandchildren would be safe in the company of Joyce's estranged partner, Major Mugure, nagged at the back of her mind. Joyce's response was that the Major was the biological father of the 2 children and that the court had ruled that he was entitled to see them regularly. Elizabeth half-heartedly saw off the 3 on their way to Nanyuki the following day.
So Joyce aliniambia tu Thursday, akaniambia Peter ametuma basi fare, anataka twende. Nikamuuliza mtaenda watoto wakifunga shule? Akaniambia sikukuwa hapa kwa nyumba by then. Akaniambia hata wamefunga na tunaenda kesho Friday. Nikamwambia mnaenda Nanyuki? Akaniambia. Nikamwambia uko ni msituni, wachana naye akuje Nairobi aonee watoto huko. Akaniambia wewe madhe usikomplicate maneno, sababu court order ilisema nisimunyime nafasi ya kuona watoto.
Little did she know that it was the last time she would see them that Friday. In an interview with Citizen TV this afternoon, Elizabeth also revealed that there had been attempts on the lives of the two children earlier this year. The attempts happening a week before DNA tests were conducted on Shanice and Prince Michael to prove the Major was the biological father to the two.
Vile walipika kwa nyumba kuchukua kifunguo, mama mwenye nyumba alikuwa anajua wako na kesi. Walikuwa wanangojea kwenda DNA. Akawauliza, kwani siku hizi mama yenu jioni anawambaianga soda? Wakasema hapana, tumekutana na anti mwingine na ndiye ametubaia hii soda. Akatuambia ni Teacher Karo Lakewood. Haya, mama akamwambia basi endeni mchange. Vile aliwaambia hivyo, huyo mama alichukua ile soda akaonja. In fact, vile alionja alishindwa kuongea na akasilai tu hapo kwa kiti.
According to Elizabeth, the attempt sparred a poor relationship between the Major and the two children.
So kuna siku Peter alijaribu kupiga simu akiongea na Michael, akamwambia baba, unataka nikupatie nini? Unataka nikubaie nini? Akamuuliza, unanijua? Siwe ni yule Peter alikuwa anataka kutuua. Mtoto tu alimwambia hivyo. Siwezi taka kusikia jina ya Peter mimi, na nikatoto tu kadogo.
Farizana Syombua, a close friend to Joyce, also reveals that the Major had expressed doubts on whether he was the father of his two children.
Na hata alishare at time aliambia gateman wa government chemistry kwamba Shanice anaweza maybe sema ni mtoto wake, lakini Mike si mtoto wake.
The Chief Magistrate Court at Milimani ruled that the Major was indeed the biological father of the two children in July this year. It was based on DNA tests. According to Elizabeth, she first met the Major during a Parents' Day meeting for her daughter at Gilgil Girls Secondary School, but she does not know much about him. She says the two had been in an on and off relationship ever since. Major Peter Mugure is also said to have had another family in Nanyuki.
Joyce ndiye aliniambia kuna rafiki yangu anatoka Kayole, so asiambia hapo kwa reception asifungiwe. Mimi nikaweza kusema hivyo, sikukuwa namjua. Akaingia, vile aliingia akamintroduce kwangu, kaniambia tu ni rafiki.
Major Peter Mugure is the prime suspect in the murder of Joyce and her two children, Shanice and Prince Michael. The three bodies were discovered by DCI detectives this evening at a graveside not too far from the Nanyuki Air Base, where the government buries unclaimed bodies. Chamutaigo in Citizen TV.